Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our daily word this morning on Friday, January 8th of the year 2021. We made it through this first full week of January, and so I'm glad you've chosen to join me this morning for our few minutes together. It's kind of a nice day outside, a little chilly, but for January, it's really not too bad. So whatever you're doing today, I hope that you are careful and find God's blessings in the midst of all the things that we do, especially on a Friday. You can see behind me that I have already put flame to my candle. We know that it's a reminder of the presence of the Holy Spirit with us. And so if you have your candle, I invite you to light it and invite the presence of the Holy Spirit into wherever you are this morning. A reminder that Sunday morning we'll have worship on Facebook Live at 10:15. We're going to be talking about the baptism of Jesus as it's told by all four gospel writers. It's interesting, though, that they don't give a lot of time to it, but it's this important story about the life of Jesus. And we're also going to talk about our own baptism and what that might mean for us and how that affects our life, even if we don't remember it. I was baptized as a child, so I certainly don't remember my baptism. But I was reading an interesting commentary today that Martin Luther, when he was struggling in all of his life, he suffered from depression and all kinds of bouts in his life. And they say that Martin Luther, in his darkest days, when he struggled the most, simply reminded himself, I am baptized, I am baptized. And that gave him a sense of who he was. And so we're going to talk about that on Sunday. So I invite you to join us for worship on Sunday morning. And if you wish, have a bowl of water wherever you worship, in your living room, at your kitchen table. Have a bowl of water. And we're going to do something special with that during our time together. So if you have that ready with your bulletin, with your candle, if you choose to light a candle, and we're going to do something special with that on Sunday morning during worship. So I've chosen Psalm 30 this morning. I was reading it last night, and specifically what jumped out at me for our time, the times we're living in, were verses 11 and 12. But we're going to get to that. I decided that the whole psalm made sense for us. And so then, as I often do, I went looking at different versions of it and how it's translated by different writers. And you've heard me enough use the Message version by Eugene Peterson. So I looked at Psalm 30 in the Message version, and I'm going to start with this, and then I'll go back to, let's see what version this Bible is, to the New International Version, and add a couple of things about it. So here's Psalm 30 as we hear it from the Message this morning. I give you all the credit, God. You got me out of that mess, and you didn't let my foes gloat. God, my God, I yelled for help, and you put me together. God, you pulled me out of the grave, gave me another chance at life when I was down and out. All you saints, sing your hearts out to God. Thank him to his face. He gets angry once in a while, but across a lifetime there is only love. The nights of crying your eyes out give way to days of laughter. When things were going great, I crowed, I've got it made. I'm God's favorite. He made me a king of the mountain. Then you looked the other way, and I fell to pieces. I called out to you, God. I laid my case before you. Can you sell me for a profit when I'm dead? Auction me off at a cemetery yard sale? When I'm dust to dust, my songs and stories of you won't sell. So listen and be kind. Help me out of this. You did it. You changed wild lament into whirling dancing. You ripped off my black mourning band and decked me with wild flowers. I'm about to burst with song. I can't keep quiet about you. God, my God, I can't thank you enough. So Psalms are usually written in one of two ways, and they become this powerful resource for us. We've read the Psalms in these daily words many, many times. A couple of times we've repeated a psalm. But we found out that these psalms that we hear about really cover all the dimensions of our lives, from the highs of our lives to the lows of our lives. and then all the places that are in between in our lives. They are songs of laments, and they are psalms of praise. And it reflects all of our life. And so we know that in our lives we have these highs and lows, these ups and downs, and there are times that we are in great joy and these psalms of praise make sense, and then there are other times in our life that we are indeed lamenting our circumstances. And it's interesting that then this psalm, however, kind of covers it all. It kind of reminds us that in the midst of a psalm of praise, there is lament. And then in the midst of that lament, God answers the cry of the psalmist and restores his life. And so the first 5 verses are a reminder to us that there is praise and thanksgiving, this intention given to God. I give you all the credit, God. You got me out of that mess. You didn't let my foes gloat. I yelled for help. You put me together. You pulled me out of the grave. You gave me another chance. That's God's answer to the psalmist in the midst of great joy. But then the verse turns then to this crisis, to this lament. When things were going great, I crowd, I've got it made. I'm God's favorite. He made me king of the mountain. Then you look the other way, and I fell to pieces. Gosh, these verses are a reminder that sometimes in life, right, that we think, like the game we used to play when we're kids, King of the Mountain, we sometimes think we're on top of the mountain and we have this figured out and we can go about our life and do all those things. But then the psalmist says, when we get too full of ourselves, when we gloat, we get ourselves and find ourselves in trouble. And then the psalmist then cries out to God and makes his case before God and says, God, please help please help, please listen, please get me out of this. There is that lament that happens in all of our lives. I think about the circumstances that we live in our lives, and so there's all this turmoil that has happened in this week, particularly in Washington, D.C., and all the things that happened there. And I don't know about you, but that was a really hard thing to watch. And I lamented the actions of many people and wondered, what have we come to? And I lost some sleep about that. But at the same time, then I cried out to God, because it is in those moments of difficulty where we need to cry out to God and ask God to hear us, because maybe, just maybe, we've gotten too full of ourselves and we've forgotten who God is in the midst of our lives. And then we get to the very end of this, and there's this reminder, and I'm going to pull up my other Bible to get to the end of this, because as the New International Version, I need to talk slower, says, verses 11 and 12. You turned my wailing into dancing. You removed my sackcloth and clothed me with joy, that my heart may sing your praises and not be silent. Lord my God, I will praise you forever. Isn't it interesting that in all of our lives, we need to hear these words, that God has drawn us up and healed us and restored us and met us in the very midst of our lives. We've then found times in our lives where we've struggled, like Martin Luther, and we simply need to cry out to God as he did, I'm baptized, to remember God's presence with us. And then there is this renewed promise of praise and thanksgiving through all of life. And this new perspective of gratitude that we hear from the psalmist reminds us that life, we really are called to the praise of God. And renewed life is a gift from God, best enjoyed in thanksgiving. And so I wonder for us, as I read this and tried to apply it to my own life, and as I try to do this daily thing, both here and on my personal page, it's a reminder that we have all of these moments in our lives. And it's good for us, to know where we've been and to know how God has blessed us and worked these things in our lives. It's good to know that in lament, we can cry out to God. And then it's good to know that in the end, in the last two verses, and that's what really jumped out at me, and I think that's been my response to the heartache that I've seen from lots of people. You turn my wailing into dancing. You remove my sackcloth and clothe me with joy, that my heart may sing your praises and not be silent. Lord my God, I will praise you forever. And so, friends, I hope that, in all of our lives, in your life and in my life, where we have great highs and sometimes great lows and all that's in between in the middle, that we should always be reminded that God then helps us turn our wailing into dancing and removes the sackcloth and has clothed us with joy. I really believe that in our difficult national circumstances, that really is what we need the most. To know that God can move in and through us and change our wailing and make a difference in our lives and in the world. And no, I'm not naive. No, I don't believe these difficulties will go away. What I believe is God is present with us and that God will move in us in a good way. And so I pray that you've had a great week, and I pray you look forward to the weekend and all that it is and all the things that you'll choose to do. I hope you join us on Sunday morning as we talk about baptism and the importance of that, and have a bowl of water ready in front of you as we do something special towards the end of the sermon. And then we'll get together then again on Monday morning at 10 o'clock, and we'll continue another week of our time and our days together. So, friends, know of the peace of Christ, which passes understanding in your life. Deep, abiding peace. Not peace that's fleeting, but deep, abiding peace. Know of that in your life. And know of God's great love for you. Love that sustains you. That love that indeed turns mourning into dancing. Love that indeed removes the sackcloth and allows us to offer praise to God. And may you know my love for all of you as I give thanks for you every day, and that we could spend these few minutes together on a daily basis. Have a great day. I will see you Sunday morning at 10:15. Then I'll see you again Monday morning at 10 o'clock. Blessings, peace, and love to you.